Now we're live.
Oh, we're live. Hey, fandom. Cowboy Joy here. How's everything going? Hope you guys are staying safe, keeping yourself healthy. Jeff, how you been? How's the family?
We're doing all right. We're doing our social distancing. We're getting our groceries as needed. We're taking walks and stuff. Just try to wait this out and just kind of hope that we're not a part of it. And you hate to hear about people who are, and everything pretty much that I've heard of from direct people who have been affected by this have seen the light at the end of the tunnel. So they're doing better. So that's good to hear.
That's amazing news, and we all have at least one, or we heard of one that has either the coronavirus or has symptoms. And, my prayers are always out to everybody there, to everybody that does have it or is feeling that way. I'm always, thinking, God, let this pass, let this go. And hopefully we go back to normal sooner or later. I'm dying for some football already.
Man, I know. I'm dying for any kind of sport. Heck, I watched WrestleMania.
even badminton? I don't think I want to play. Not badminton.
I don't know about badminton. Perhaps, but
if there's any badminton fans here, I apologize.
Yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I think the NFL draft is going to be awesome, which is kind of a nice little segue to our next week's guest that we're going to have on the show, John Chapman. He's going to talk to us about the NFL draft, some NFL draft prospects, who the Panthers might pick, not just at 7, but also their other picks as well. Nice. So we look forward to having John on the show. That'll be a good time.
The unfortunate thing is that he's a 49ers fan. I'm a Cowboys fan. So just fans know there's going to be some friction, probably. Some friendly friction.
Nothing wrong with that.
But yeah, so I'm ready. I'm ready for some sport, anything, If ESPN puts flying kite as a sport, I'll be watching it.
Right now, ESPN is, I'm sure they're in dire need of having something. The NFL draft is going to be a big piece.
Yeah, because I'm sick and tired of hearing Stephen A. Smith.
Oh, no. Yeah, I'm with you. So what's our agenda for tonight? What are we talking about?
So we're talking about the past and current Hall of Famers or game impactors for each team.
So, all right. So the best players from each team, past and present, right? And we'll start with the AFC. Is that the plan?
Let's start with the AFC and let's go with the past. I'll kick it off with the Buffalo Bills. Your old team, by the way.
That's right. So
I had difficult choices. Jim Kelly, Thurman Thomas. But I got to say the game impactor, the guy that changed the game for the Buffalo Bill, Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith. Is this where I tell you that I had Bruce Smith as well?
Oh, nice. See?
How about that? Yeah, I mean, Bruce Smith, you can't go wrong with him. I mean, he leads the NFL in sacks, in career total, 200 sacks, most all time. And
the mentality changed that whole defensive lineup. Those 4 times they went to the Super Bowl, it was based on how good that defense was. And coming back from difficult games, Houston Oilers, those games, they put the defense in there. They put the D in defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Bills' their offense was great, with the K-gun and the no-huddle offense, but the defense was outstanding. And Bruce Smith was a huge part of that. Little known fact about Bruce Smith is that he never, ever led the league in sacks. In fact, one year he had 19, which is 1990. Guess who had the most sacks in 1990? Let's see if you know this.
Lawrence Taylor.
Not Lawrence Taylor, no.
I'll give you Reggie White?
No, I'll give you a hint, though. In one game, he had 7.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Don't remember. Sorry, drawing a blank.
Derek Thomas on the Chiefs.
Oh, that was my Hall of Famer for the Chiefs. Should have known that.
We'll get to that, but that's all right. But yeah, so the one year where Bruce Smith had 19 sacks, Thomas had 20. So Smith never, even though he has the most sacks in NFL history, never ever led the league in any season. So interesting.
But tremendous motor, tremendous player. If the game depended on getting a sack or getting a stop, you knew Bruce Smith was going to be in the middle of that.
Oh yeah, always tracking the ball. In fact, he had 43 career fumbles forced, which is also 10 more than Reggie White had in his career. So another little tidbit.
Yeah, you Buffalo Bill fans have a lot of tidbits, by the way.
All right.
Now let's move on to your, maybe it might be your rival, the Jets.
All right. You want me to go first, or do you want
this
to?
time is you. We'll go one off each.
Okay, so I think this comes down to three players, in my opinion. Joe Willie Namath. I mean, how can you not like Joe Namath? When you think of the Jets, they have one Super Bowl title. The only person who got that was Namath. Obviously, he's a big name. You've got Mark Gastineau, who was, my goodness, he started the New York Sack Exchange back in the 80s, and he was a huge piece to the Jets defense. But my choice here is, and I don't really choose too many of these running backs, and that's Curtis Martin.
Oh, wow.
Curtis Martin is my top Jet of all time in the past. He played 11 years. He played with the Jets, and he played with the Patriots, and he played 8 years with the Jets. And he had 10 consecutive years of 1,000 yards rushing. To me, Curtis Martin is my guy. Let's see. He's sixth all time in rushing yards. Didn't know if you knew that or not.
No, he was a stud. He was an absolute stud in the Jets.
Yeah, in the early 2000s, well, like 2004 was his top year, almost 1,700 yards rushing. So, Curtis Martin.
He had like 13, 14 touchdowns that year too?
Yeah, something like that. Exactly. But he's a Hall of Famer, and he deserves it. Curtis Martin is my pick.
See, I went a little old school. I went with the guy that actually got him there, got him that ring. Broadway Joe. I had to go with Broadway Joe, just like Joey. Broadway Joe is the one.
All right, fair enough. Nothing wrong with that.
We bypassed the present game impactor.
Oh, do you want to do the present here as well, or you want to come back and do that?
Let's do past and present and define why.
Okay. So who's your present, the best player on the Bills currently?
Josh Allen.
Hands
down, Josh Allen is going to be iconic in that team, given the offense that he has, given the weapons now that he possesses. I think that team is going, who knows, maybe this is the year they get the ring. They're going to have to play Dallas again. So those, hint, hint, Super Bowl, Dallas. But they're going to be he's going to be really good, and that team's going to be better off. And now that he has weapons around him, there's nothing stopping him.
Yeah, and Josh Allen is someone who I can definitely think would be a good pick here. And if we're doing this at the same time next year, I think he would be the pick. And I have nothing against Josh Allen. In fact, a lot of people are like, wow, you're really high on Josh Allen this year. And so, I am. And there's nothing – I don't want to say anything against what you said. I just think he's probably about
a year or two off.
I don't even think of 2 years. I think 1 year off from being like the guy that we want him to be, and he's really close. I saw him last year just kind of grow up, emotionally, maturity wise, physically. Just from a sense of wanting to be able to play his role and win games through his arm, right? The Bills were a defensive team. They are going to be again next year. And I don't think we're going to see very many games where Josh Allen has to win it with his arm.
What I saw in those games also last year? His leadership.
Yeah.
His ability to take over a game when he needed to. And this is why I think I picked Josh Allen, because what he showed me last year was completely a Mahomes type season, a Lamar Jackson type season without all the stats, but the leadership is out there. So I stand up for what I see in a player that could actually inspire his team, inspire the fans, and keep them in games. That's where I based off that Josh Allen would be that guy, and it's for him to lose in my my opinion.
Yeah, and also keep in mind, I don't think there's any wrong answers here, and I like that answer. You want to know who I picked?
Yeah, I'm dying to know now.
I picked their second-year linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds.
Okay.
And
I can see why. That defense it's a mean defense.
Yeah, he's the captain of the defense. We know that the Bills are a defensive-oriented team. They're a defensive-coached team. Their coach is a defensive guy.
Yes.
So their top guy. And I also was looking at Tre'Davious White in this category too, because he had a really great year last year, and he's only going up from there. But same with Tremaine Edmonds, and he's got he finally got the Pro Bowl. He didn't get the Pro Bowl his first year as a rookie, but he's had 100 tackles each year in the league, and I just think that he's the best player on the best unit for the Bills, and that's the defense. So I went with Tremaine Edmonds.
Nice. I don't disagree with that pick. I think that defense, he's the heart and soul of that defense. He leads that defense. That's why he's the captain. Number one. Number two, he has from day one, he has that leadership role. So I knew as a rookie when he came in, that's somebody I wanted Dallas to go after. But
yeah. So all right. So we did the Bills. Let's go back to the Jets now that we're in this format here. We're rolling. Who is your present best player on the Jets currently right now?
So I did want to say Darnold, but I didn't take Mono Darnold because of I haven't seen too much of him,
Okay.
and
Mono
so
Darnold.
I seen Adams, and Adams is a stud at safety.
Jamal Adams.
Yep.
Yeah.
A stud.
That's
Somebody
my
that's
pick.
highly coveted by Dallas, and he's a stud. He plays with passion.
I totally agree with you. He's my pick as well. And I mean, I think we could also take a look at Le'Veon Bell, but then you're like, Bell has
1 year. I can't give Le'Veon Bell
No.
1 year. He just got into the team. I can't give it to him.
Right. That's kind of like giving the Buccaneers Tom Brady. I mean, that's not fair.
You can't? Oh, hold on. Let me change that.
No, Jamal Adams is my pick as well. I mean, we've seen him. He's improved each year he's been in the league. He's probably one of the top safeties in the AFC. And, he's strong from every category. And Jamal Adams.
And I'm going to tell you, he reminds me of a Sean Taylor in his prime.
Yep, I agree. That's a good call. It's a nice comparison. I wish we had more of Sean Taylor.
Oh, my God. Yes.
All right, so who's next in our AFC East?
Let's go to the Miami Flippers. I mean, Dolphins. I'm sorry.
All right. I think it's probably is it a foregone conclusion here that we're going with Dan Marino as the best former Dolphin?
Oh, I had O.J. McDuffie. I'll play it. I had Dan Marino.
Dan Marino. All right, tell me about Dan Marino. Obviously, there's a lot of reasons why people like Marino, but what do you want to say about him?
As growing up, in Jersey, hating the Giants, rooting for the Jets every time the Giants played, or I hated the fact that when I was actually in Meadowlands, watching the game, every time they talked about Dan Marino, he always killed us in that stadium. So I still remember this iconic play. I wasn't in this, I was watching it at home when he did that, stop the clock fake.
Oh yeah,
went straight for that.
He faked the spike and he threw it to Mark Ingram or Mark Baker.
That was iconic. I forget who it was. A guy that's not afraid to take, the hit. Is not afraid to stay in the pocket to take the hit to get that ball where it needed to go. That was Dan Marino. Unfortunately, he never got a ring, and that he's always going to be known for that, or he's always going to be known for Finkel, Ace Ventura. But Dan Marino definitely deserves to be that iconic player for the Dolphins. He did everything for that team. He did everything for that franchise, the community. He was the D Wade of Miami before D Wade was ever there. Yep,
I totally agree there. Dan Marino's my choice as well. It's easy to say Marino. I mean, he led the NFL in passing for 5 seasons. That's hard to do. And he's just, he's a Hall of Famer for a reason. And Marino's obviously our pick. What about your present Dolphin? Where are you going with here? This is a little bit harder, a little bit more difficult.
It is because this is the one I don't have anybody. this one I'm going to give it to the fan for sticking out for that team
Mm-hmm.
because their rough road in the last couple of years, trading all their commodities away to see what the future holds. The fans are the ones that deserve my pick, for game changers for the Dolphins because they stuck with them.
Yeah, and what do they have? Like 12 draft picks in this draft coming up, something like that.
And I hope they do right and get some good players. And you know
Right.
what, they're back on, playoff hopes. But they're just like the Cleveland Browns. These fans are loyal, and they will continue to be in those games no matter what.
And I think they're doing the rebuild the right way. Trading away players that you probably aren't going to sign, like Minkah Fitzpatrick, right? They got picks for him, got a first-round pick for him. They have 3 first-round picks this year. But
and ironically, they're very quiet in the offseason too, except with the Byron Jones signing. But the rest is
right,
very silent.
So I picked a guy, my favorite player. I mean, if we're looking at stats, I think you kind of have to look at Devontae Parker. Yeah, I mean, he was the best player on the team last year, most likely. If you think about it, what do you have? 9 touchdowns. 70-something receptions. I don't have it in front of me right now, but
he kept the team. Yeah, he kept the team in the games when they needed to.
Right, and you could argue Ryan Fitzpatrick here too. He's still on the team.
Yeah, but you know what?
I know.
I
don't think Ryan Fitzpatrick when I think Miami Dolphins.
No, I don't.
And I don't necessarily even think Parker, but at the same time,
that's what made it so difficult for me to pick because there's nobody there that had they had one good season or they came from another team that, sparked some life into it. But you know what? After thinking long and hard, the ones that deserve to be that iconic game changer for that team is the fans.
Right.
In my opinion, because you know what? Let's just put it this way. They stuck with them no matter what. And sometimes it was the Patriots blowing them down, just beating them down, and they were still there, cheering for their Dolphins and singing and rooting. So that's I give them props.
Yep, that's right. And you could also throw Rashad Jones into this mix too. He's been in with the team from the ups and the downs. And now they've got the Jones connection in the secondary with Byron coming in. So that's an interesting situation.
I'm happy that Byron's going to be there. He's going to bring some stability in that secondary. But I hate to see him go. But I don't root for Dolphins, but watching their struggle, just they really didn't put it together since I'm sorry, you could even argue that ever since Marino retired, they never got it together.
Yeah, I mean that's true. I mean they've made playoffs, but they haven't really made a deep run in the playoffs at all.
Even with Jimmy Johnson there, it didn't pan out as much as we thought everybody was. I even thought Jimmy Johnson was going to bring at least a Super Bowl in there.
Yeah, with Ricky Williams, and just never happened. All right, moving on. New England. Come on.
I got to go with Tom Brady, dude.
You got to go with Tom Brady. I mean, how do you not? It would be a disservice to Tom Brady and fans.
And you know what? I'll be honest with you. The past and the present match. Just because he left this year, he left a lot of question marks now in that team. Yeah. So a player that impacted his team, even if it was bad for leaving, because now the Patriots they have that question mark at quarterback. I think he was iconic all throughout.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the rundown of all of his awards, I mean, he's had 9 Super Bowl appearances. He's won 6. He was the MVP 4 times in the Super Bowl. He's been to 14 Pro Bowls. And 18 years
never
as a
cracked
starter,
under
14
pressure.
Pro Bowls. And what? Say again?
He never cracked under pressure, never hackled anybody. You don't see his cockiness was never out there. People wanted to believe he had cockiness, but it was just, you know what it was? Confidence.
Yeah, it was.
He was confident in his arm. He was confident in his players. He was confident in the program. So if you believe in a program and you are out there executing the way you're supposed to execute, you don't need to worry about the hecklers. So every Tom Brady hater in the world celebrated when he left to the Bucs, but honestly, the Patriot fans are hurting right now because they left a gaping hole in there.
Yeah, and just a quick stat or a tidbit on Brady. Did you know that he has more career passing yards in the postseason and touchdowns, passing touchdowns as well in the postseason than Deshaun Watson has in his entire career?
Wow, that is crazy stat.
How about that? That's nuts, right? I mean, that'll obviously change this year, but I thought that when
I don't know. I think it's gonna be. I think the Bucks are in a good place right now.
Yeah, well, I don't think that Brady's going to have more.
Sorry, Panther fans, but I gotta say,
he's not going to have more postseason yards than Watson will have regular season yards. That's just not going to happen this year. But over the course of his career, yeah, he has more. So that was a really cool stat that I found. All right, next, your favorite player on the Patriots, current players.
I said it, Tom Brady, and because he left.
So
he left an impact on that team. He's still leaving an impact, and even when he's gone this year, it's still going to be an impact. People are still going to be talking about Tom Brady as a Patriot.
Okay. So I have two picks here. That could either be Julian Edelman or Stephon Gilmore, and I decided to go with Stephon Gilmore, Rock Hill Zone. Stephon Gilmore, by the way. But
where's Rock Hill located again?
Rock Hill, South Carolina. Anyhow, Julian Edelman, you have to wonder, is Edelman a product of Tom Brady? I mean, how is he going to do this year with God knows whoever's quarterback?
Who they signed again? I forgot.
Well, they have Jarrett Stidham, and they signed, what did they sign? Hoyer
back. Hoyer knows the system, so I think Hoyer will be good, but True. He's not Tom Brady.
No. He's not even Garoppolo.
No.
So I went with Stephon Gilmore. I think he's one of the best corners in the league, in the game right now. And he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Who won Defensive Player of the Year? I forget. Who won it? Anyway, Gilmore was in the running. Name's escaping me, but so that's my call. All right, so that's it for the AFC East. Where should we move on now?
Let's go Central.
Central? You mean North?
Yeah, I call it Central still.
You're showing your age there or something. All right, so pick the team.
Let's go Houston.
Houston. So now you're in the
South. I got you on that one.
So are we doing AFC South?
No, let's go Central. Let's go to the Cleveland Browns.
Central. All right, Cleveland. All right, the best player in Cleveland Browns history is. You want me to start?
Yeah.
Jim Brown. I mean, how can we not say it's Jim Brown? It has to be. He only played 9 seasons in the league. He led the league in rushing in 8 of those 9 seasons. Every year. Isn't that crazy? Do you know who the player was that had the most rushing yards in the season where Jim Brown did not?
Oh, no, I don't. That's showing your age now, buddy.
No, it's just showing my affinity for stats, I think. But because I honestly never saw this player play. Jim Taylor of the Packers.
Oh, wow.
So, yes. What was it, 1964 or something like that? I don't know. 62, 63, something like that. Jim Taylor. Jim Brown, how about you? Who's your guy?
So I had Jim Brown also, but it was between a toss-up between him and Vinny T.
Testaverde, really?
Yeah, Vinny T changed the game in the dog pound a little bit. Changed it more to an offensive-minded kind of team when they were more defensive-minded during that time.
That's right, because they had Clay Matthews. They had, well, he was the guy, the main guy, in those Sam Ratigliano days. Yeah, maybe I am dating myself here.
Yeah, you are. You definitely are. But yeah, I went with Jim Brown because honestly, Vinny T did change the game, but Jim Brown's iconic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the fact that he only played 9 years, I mean,
exactly, and did what he did.
Yeah. All right. How about your current player?
My current player, I'm going to give it to Landry.
Really?
Yes.
Jarvis Landry. How come?
He's bought into the system.
Okay.
No matter what, I think he's bought into the Browns. He's bought into the system. He wants to do more than he's set out to do. So he's out. I've seen him out there blocking. I've seen him out there, running those slants when, divas like Odell Beckham is not doing it, So I seen Landry step up when, other receivers didn't. And he's giving Mayfield a target every time.
Okay. I mean, Landry's a good pick. I mean, he's been solid every year he's been in the league. And with Cleveland, it really hasn't been that much of a difference. I went with a controversial pick here.
Oh, God.
Myles Garrett.
See, I had Helmet Slammer too, but I decided not to.
I looked at Myles Garrett's stats. He's played in 35 games, right? Because he only played in 10 games last year. He's played in 35 games in his career. He's got 30 and a half sacks. 30 and a half sacks in 35 games. In 12,
you're missing a key stat, though.
What's that?
He's got 35 sacks, which is 30 sacks in 35 games. Great. He's got 6 suplexes, 3 contracts for the WWE, and 2 helmet slams.
Well, he's if he plays even 12 years in the league, he's on pace for 366 sacks, which would abolish the sack record. That just doesn't, that's amazing.
Hard to keep the motor running year in and year out.
No,
remember, the wear and tear does come in.
I totally agree. Look at J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt was on fire his first couple of years in the league, and then
and then look at him now.
He got hurt, that's obviously caused him to miss games, and he's struggled. But
he's a nice Instagrammer, by the way. He's really good in IG.
Yeah. So Myles Garrett is my pick.
I don't disagree with that pick, but I'm thinking more of the dog pound now with Mayfield.
Yeah.
And bringing it more offensively. I think Landry, hands down, is the best receiver in that group.
Okay. All right. Next team.
Let's go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. Cincinnati Bengals. Who's your all-timer?
I'm going to have to select the first-round pick, Kijana Carter.
What? All right. So that was pretty much the same time that you were in Penn State, wasn't it? Or something around there?
Yes. No, Curtis Enis days.
Oh, Curtis Enis. Okay. Got it. Those of you who don't know, Joey was what you were scholarshiped to play for Penn State, and then you hurt yourself like that summer before you were supposed to join. Is that
airline fracture on the shoulder? Couldn't play, but the military took me.
See, that's a shame.
But the military got me though.
Yeah, military gotcha. But no, really, are you really going with Kijana Carter?
No, I'm not going with Kijana Carter.
Okay,
I'm going to give it to guy that took him there too, Boomer Esiason.
Boomer.
I have to give something for Boomer. I was going to do it for the Jets, but then I'm like, you know what? Boomer was more of an impact player for the. It's a toss-up between him and Carson Palmer, because with Carson Palmer being there such a short time, he's made some changes there too. But Boomer Esiason takes it.
I'm going with Anthony Munoz.
Oh, wow.
Arguably the best left tackle in all of football ever.
Yes, that's a great pick.
11 straight Pro Bowls, 9-time first-team All-Pro. He became the first Bengals player to be inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1998. Do you believe that? 1998 was the first time any Bengal made the Hall of Fame. He's played in 2 Super Bowls. He's 3-time Offensive Lineman of the Year. And he's only missed 3 games in his career due to injury.
That's a good pick. I agree with that pick.
So, yeah, Anthony Munoz. I'm a big fan of the offensive line and defensive line, if you haven't noticed yet. But,
I haven't seen you pick one good offensive player yet.
Not yet? Okay. All right. Well, the night is still young. How about your current Bengal? Who do you got?
AJ Green. No matter how he was out last year, AJ Green is still the guy in Cincinnati, unless they decide to trade him. But for now, he made that team good with Dalton. With having a quarterback like Dalton, AJ Green made something out of nothing.
Okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with AJ Green. He's had a heck of a career. I think too many lower leg injuries has kind of slowed him a little bit, but we're going to find that out this year when he returns. And he might have Joe Burrow throwing balls to him, so that could be interesting.
Yeah,
we'll see. We shall see. My pick. I went defensive line here, Joey.
I knew it.
Not Carlos Dunlap, in case you're wondering.
Oh, that was my guess.
I went with Geno Atkins.
Good choice.
Geno
Atkins is a good – he's a beast.
9 years as a starter, 8 Pro Bowls. He's got the most sacks since 2010 among defensive tackles. And only Ndamukong Suh and Aaron Donald have more quarterback hits at defensive tackle in that same time frame. So,
and you notice that Suh and Donald are the main headliners for the DTs everywhere, but Geno Atkins is doing it quietly, and he's doing it in a team that really lost all hope last year, and he's still doing it.
Oh yeah, he's a keeper, man. He's definitely a player that teams can build around. Obviously, he's been with the team for a long time, but I can see him going to any team and thriving and doing well. And that's obviously, if he can do it in Cincinnati, he can do it anywhere.
Imagine with a good defensive team anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, good pick.
All right, who else we got? AFC North, not the Central.
So, the Ravens.
All right, we got to go Ray Lewis here, right?
Of course, dude. Ray the man has got to be the one you select.
You know what stinks is Ed Reed is such an incredible player. You want to pick Ed Reed, but how can you pick Ed Reed over Ray Lewis? Ed Reed is arguably the best safety ever.
Yes, I agree with that, but the heart and soul, the way that Baltimore team unified was Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis all the way.
Ray Lewis, totally agreed. 14 years as a starter, 13 Pro Bowls, 2 Super Bowl titles, and 2 Super Bowl appearances, over 2,000 tackles. The only player in the league ever with 2,000 tackles, Ray Lewis.
Yes.
All right, how about your current Baltimore Raven?
I think this is a landslide also, Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, totally. If last year was any indication, Jackson's going to be one hell of a dual threat type of weapon for a long time. Until or unless he gets injured, because we've seen that from
I think this year they'll slow him down on the running and they'll make him more of a passer.
Yeah, I can see that too. But what do you think of him as a passer, honestly?
He reminds me of, how can I put this? It's not a Donovan McNabb type player, but more of a Dante Culpepper. He's polished.
Okay.
He throws that short slant, the Randy Moss give and goes that Culpepper used to do. So, yes,
Culpepper is a great name from the past, by the way. He was the Cam Newton before Cam Newton. Stocky, can run. He can get those.
Man, he will bounce. Linebackers will bounce off him.
Yeah, absolutely. He was the first Cam Newton. If there's anyone you can compare Cam Newton to, it's Dante Culpepper. And
you know what? Similar traits that got injured down their twilight of their career. They started getting injured. Both of them did. So, I'm interested in where Cam is going to land.
Yeah.
So, but I think his throwing abilities is Dante Culpepper, and I think the team, Harbaugh will actually create those playbooks for him, those passing games. Because you know what? Trust me, this year they're going to stack the line. They're going to stack that box with the 8, and they're going to try to blitz as much as they can to stop him from running. So they're always going to have a spy on him no matter what. Do you think that he has a better year in 2020 than he did in 2019? He'll have more passing touchdowns. Yes, he will. Yep. And he'll have at least 4,000 to about 5,000 yards passing. He had like 36 touchdown passes last year. That's crazy. And the guy has a gun. You give him some time, he'll put it out there. So that's why I put him as a Dante Culpepper. Mm-hmm. You get a good receiver, just like a Randy Moss. Man, you've seen what he did in Minnesota, Culpepper and Moss. Yeah. They were lighting up the board. Yeah. All right, one more team in the AFC North, the Steelers. Ugh, the Steelers. This is a tough one for me, actually, because there's so many Steelers. You didn't go Franco?
And here's the thing. When I look back at Steelers, Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowls, blah, blah, blah. Never, ever had 30 touchdown passes in a season. You've got Franco Harris. Okay, yes, he's good. He gets a lot of volume. But when I think of running backs from the past, I don't necessarily, think of Franco Harris. Lynn Swann.
I think Jerome Bettis, the bus.
Jerome Bettis. I mean, that's good. Is that who you picked?
No. I'll give you this one was a 2-picker for me because these guys changed the defense and changed basically the position altogether. These two were the thunder and lightning of the Steelers back in the 90s. If you know what I'm talking about.
Jack Ham?
No.
Mean Joe Green?
No, Mean Joe Green in the 90s?
Oh, you're talking 90s. Excuse me. Greg Lloyd?
And?
Levon Kirkland.
Kirkland was good, but I gave him to another one that had a motor like Hulk Hogan.
What can I think?
Kevin
Is it defensive
Green.
end? Like a linebacker?
It's Kevin Green.
Kevin Green, former Panther.
Those two will light up
and
change that position altogether.
All right. Hey, that's good pick. Good pick there. I went with.
But I didn't go for them. I just wanted to bring them up.
Oh. All right. So who did you go with?
I went with Rod Woodson.
Ooh. Okay. I like that. It's a good call. I mean, there's so many Steelers. So many. I always liked Rod Woodson. You could go Troy Polamalu here. There's so many that you can put in.
No,
here.
but Rod Woodson was the man. Back in the 90s, he was the man. He was the shutdown corner.
Yeah,
and he was the modern day Ramsey of the NFL.
Jalen Ramsey.
Mm-hmm.
Without the attitude.
Without the attitude, he played his game, tackled, hit hard, and you know what? Got out without talking trash, nothing. He just plays over. Let's go back and do it again.
This was that's good. That's a good pick. I don't have a problem with Woodson. I went with someone that is probably controversial here.
Oh my God!
I went with Antonio Brown. Okay. Now hear me out, man. I mean, from the 2013 to 2018, he was on fire.
You drank the Kool-Aid, haven't you?
He was one of the best receivers in the league. If he was the best receiver in the league, 100 catches each season, 1,400 yards receiving, and this is just 10 touchdowns. This is just average for him, right? So he was incredible. And then who knows what happened? I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
That hit a fuse.
Yeah, well, also that hit against the Bengals from Vontez Burfict that happened. I mean, I don't know if that's indeed what was the downfall of his career, but I mean, you could not think of a better receiver in the league than Antonio Brown during his heyday there in those 5 years. So, of all the Steelers that are all obviously they're sensational, right? I just think that Brown was the most sensational of all of them.
You gave a snub to a lot of players there.
Yeah, but I also called them out too, and I mentioned why they could be voted, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it was tough for me, but I went with Brown ultimately. So that wraps up our AFC North.
Oh, hold on, we didn't do present yet.
Oh, sorry, present. Okay, sorry. Go right ahead.
I got Juju.
Really?
Yeah, I got Juju being the iconic player, the heir apparent to Brown.
Okay. See, I think he struggled a little bit last year. Didn't have Roethlisberger. Didn't have another wide receiver one who could take the coverage or take the top corners and be covered by the top corner.
But he's putting in work this year. So this is the man that wants to win in Pittsburgh. This is the man that wants to prove that he's better than Brown and wants to prove that he is the heir apparent to the WR1 position.
Yeah.
So I think Juju is the guy.
We'll see. I'm not quite drinking the Kool-Aid on Juju. I liked him in 2018, but 2019 he kind of showed me that maybe I'm going a little fast with him. But a lot of people love Juju. I'm just not one of them. My pick, and not to say that I don't like him. I like him. I just don't. I don't love him. My pick is Ben Roethlisberger. How do you?
Rapidsburger for real?
Yes, he's a future Hall of Famer in my opinion. He's won 2 Super Bowls. He was Rookie of the Year when, if you remember, when his rookie season, he was 13-0 as a starter. Yeah, and I mean, Roethlisberger is just, in my opinion, he's the reason why the Steelers have been so successful in the last 10, 15 years.
You know what? I don't agree with that one. I know he's iconic. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, yes, but I don't know, man. He doesn't drive to me as one of those quarterbacks that are, I could put put the game on the line and put him on. And then if something does go wrong, he's not going to talk to the media. He's a diva.
Yes, I mean you're not wrong, but
even the way he transitioned out of his injury, and when they talked to him about, hey, are you going to help him? He's like, no. He's a diva. That's not. I don't think that's a team. That's a team mentality that you should have if you're the face of the franchise.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. I'm just thinking about people who are, influential and productive and revered. I don't think that Steelers fans hate him. I don't think that at all.
Well, Steelers fans have been blind for years, so let's be honest.
Here, let me ask you a real quick question. Who had more rushing touchdowns in their career? Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, or Drew Brees?
I'm going to give it to Drew Brees because Drew Brees is a little crafty.
Wow. You're absolutely right. It is Drew Brees. He had 20?
And I remember the Chargers days when he played the Chargers.
Like,
he would just take off running.
Yeah. Yep. It is Brees. I thought maybe I would kind of fool you there since we're talking about Roethlisberger. But anyway, yes, it is Brees.
And sorry, Jeff. It's pronounced Rappensburger.
Shots fired here. All right, now we are officially done with the AFC North. Let's move to the South. How about we'll start with the Colts?
You know what my pick is. Hold on, you might not know who my pick is.
Tell me.
Marvin Harrison is for me.
You're going with Marvin.
Yes.
Okay. Why
Even
Marvin?
though Manning was there to give him the ball, I still got to say that guy is, what? How many years with more than 110 catches per year?
I mean, he's had a lot.
I think he went 5 years in a row with 120 catches per year.
Yes.
And he was Manning's safety blanket no matter when he needed. Him and Reggie Wayne made that team, so yeah, I had to go. It was a no-brainer for me. Manning is iconic in all football, all NFL. The Manning name is going to be iconic no matter where you go. But I got to give it to a guy that was always there when Manning needed a pass down the line or needed that third down completion. That was the guy.
I'm actually looking at his stats now. He had 4 seasons where he had 100 catches or more, all in a row. 143 was the top mark, which was just broken by Michael Thomas this year. That was in 2002. So, yeah, 4 straight years of 100 catches or more. And then after that, 94, 86, 82, 95. I mean, he's very consistent. I agree with you there. Of course, you say Marvin Harrison. I think we would be left off stage if we didn't mention Peyton Manning here.
I mentioned the Manning name. I'm just saying, the Manning name is iconic no matter what. Eli and him and their dad did so much for the game that it's only right to give players that also helped them pave the way, so to speak. So when I thought about Colts, I thought about the only 2 players that I would think of is Manning and Harrison. Reggie Wayne came in a close third, but there was no comparison to Harrison at all. So I thought, okay. And I started watching game films on Marvin. Whenever Peyton had a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14, he will always look at Marvin's direction. And Marvin always got opened.
Yeah.
I don't know how he did it, but he always got open.
It's slippery.
And he always had that first down.
And he always, when he fell, he always fell in a way that he was not going to get injured.
Exactly.
Which was something that always impressed me about Marvin Harrison. But getting back to Manning, just looking at Manning's career numbers and such, man, he was all right. So he's third overall in career passing yards. He's played 17 years in the league, 14-time Pro Bowler, 7-time first team All Pro. I mean, if you look at here's a stat for you: the amount of times that Peyton Manning was sacked in his career, 303 times. The amount of times that Tom Brady was sacked, 500.
Yeah, almost double. Yeah.
I mean, that's Manning. He just commanded.
He had a quick release.
Quick release. He knew when to throw it away. He knew when to dump it off. I mean, that's just. You could argue that Manning is the best quarterback who's ever played. I could,
and hands down, I would agree with you, because what he did for the game and what he did with that team, the Indianapolis Colts, and what he did for Denver, even in his not so great years, coming down, he's winding down his career. He did make some amazing plays for Denver.
Sounds good. All right, how about your current Colt?
My current Colt, I'm going to give it to the guy that just got traded there, Buckner.
Really?
Yes, because the whole reason they gave up a number one for him.
Yeah.
So they see something special, and in the 49ers, he was the special guy there.
I mean, that's not bad. I wasn't really thinking of guys who were, just enjoying the team per se. Although I'm
saying who's in the team now. My thought was he's in the team now. Mm-hmm. He's already got a presence behind him, and he's ready to play.
Okay. I mean, they're making moves, which is great, and they had the cap to do it. And Chris Ballard has done a great job as GM there. My pick for the best Colt currently is Quentin Nelson, their right guard. I think he's one of the best guards in the league. He's only played 2 years, made the Pro Bowl each year, first team All Pro this past year. I think we're just going to continue. He's like a guy who just put it in guard for 10, 12 years and say, okay, boom. And he'll be a Pro Bowler too. Once you get like offensive linemen who get like a Pro Bowl in their first or second year, and the people are just going to remember that. There's a lot of
he's a Larry Allen type player.
Yeah, sure. I mean that's good. That's a good pick. Yeah, I just see him as someone who's going to be on the front line there for a long, long time.
Good pick.
All right. Colts, let's move on. How about Jacksonville?
I'm going to have to give it to my man, Mark Brunell.
Okay.
I think he started when the expansion came in. He came in there, did his thing. He played well,
He was like Steve Young light.
Yeah, and he brought him into the playoffs, I think, the first year.
Yeah. That's right. And if I remember, because I'm a Bills fan growing up. The Bills used to never, ever lose at home in the playoffs. That just never happened. And I don't remember what year it was, but Jacksonville came in and they spanked them. And everyone was like, whoa, what? And it was Mark Brunell's team. Mark Brunell, Keenan McCardell, Jimmy Smith, that whole gang, Fred Taylor. The early Jaguars were good. And that gives me that moves me on to my pick of Jimmy Smith as the best Jacksonville Jaguar in the past. You look at Jimmy Smith, 9-year starter, 5 times a Pro Bowler. He's the all-time leading receiver for the Jaguars in terms of receptions and receiving yards. He's got over 12,000 receiving yards, which a lot of people are like, oh. So, Jimmy Smith is my guy. But I like your call as well with Brunell. Okay. How about current Jaguars? This is tough, right? Because we're talking about current Jaguars here.
And they're trading all their commodities away too, so it's a little tricky. But I don't know. I think it's the water in Florida that has people just going crazy, GMs going crazy and trading their commodities away. But I'm going with Fournette.
Okay, you just like him. You think
I
that
like
he's
him. I like him as a player. I think he has a little mean streak in him. He wants to look for somebody to hit. So he reminds me of, oh, you probably remember this guy, and I hated this guy when he played against us, Mr. Floyd from the 49ers.
William Floyd?
Yeah, that man
Yeah,
was a beast.
that's an interesting comparison. Because I don't really, I don't really think of William Floyd too often. The Florida State guy, right? That's what you're.
Yep.
Um, I don't really think of him too much, but you're right. They are kind of similar. I would argue that Fournette is faster. I would
Oh,
say,
yes. No, hands down faster. Remember,
Mhm.
Floyd was a fullback,
Right.
turned into a halfback. He was one of those turned halfback because, they had nothing. Ricky Williams got hurt. They put Floyd in instead. But here's the thing. Not Ricky Williams, Waters.
Ricky Waters. Yeah.
Ricky Williams is a totally different team. Yeah, exactly. He's in the Bob Marley expansion team.
Yeah, well, that's Ricky. So my pick, even though I just kind of yelled at you this past round for saying that we shouldn't take players who just joined the team. I know, right? This is the only time. This is the one time that I did this. I picked Joe Schobert, the inside linebacker. He's been with the Browns. He was a free agent. He had a huge year. Of course, how many players have huge years on their free agent season?
And in the Browns.
In the Browns. But I mean, we're talking about a guy who's had 3 consecutive 100-plus tackle seasons. He led the league in tackles in 2017. He had 4 interceptions, 7 tackles for a loss last year. I think he's going to come in there and be the guy in terms of their linebacker crew. They've got.
I agree.
They got Miles Jack. Miles Jack can now move more towards an outside, type of position. Well, he was kind of there anyway, but sometimes he would be in the middle. But I like Schobert. Schobert's my pick.
Nice pick. Not a bad pick.
All right, so we move on. How about the Tennessee Titans / Houston Oilers? Because we have to think about them going back further.
I went with Warren Moon.
Okay.
Warren Moon changed the game for Houston, changed the game in Minnesota. I think he's all around a good player. Remember, he came from where? The CFL?
Yeah.
And he was breaking records in the CFL. So
right, he won how many Grey Cups there? Him and Doug Flutie as well. Yeah.
It was a no-brainer for me for Warren Moon.
Edmonton? Is that the team he was on? I don't even remember.
Yeah, Edmonton.
But and he played 7-8 years in the CFL before he even joined the NFL. That's insane.
And when he came into the NFL, it was an immediate impact.
Yeah, totally agree with that. With the run and shoot offense. Yep. Great pick. I like that pick. I went with offensive line, Bruce Matthews.
Yeah, I kind of figured you were going to go with the Matthews.
So first of all, is the Matthews family line in the NFL one of the best ever? If you think about it,
it's a close second to the Manning family line.
Right. You got Bruce Matthews, you got Clay Matthews, you got Clay Matthews Jr. You've got what do they have? A Casey Matthews. There was some other Matthews running around somewhere.
Surely somebody's coming up from the NFL right now.
Matthews, it has to be. No, but I took Bruce Matthews, and you could probably say that he's arguably one of the best, if not the best, guard in NFL history. Played 19 years. Let's see. Where is it? Where's my stat on him? 14-time Pro Bowler. The key stat here is with Matthews. He only averaged 1.6 penalties per year.
Damn, that's
how about that?
That is awesome.
Is that incredible? I mean, you might think, maybe a couple hold.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? Anyway,
a good stat. That's a good stat to have, though.
Yes, that's not offsides. That's false starts. That's holdings. That's everything.
Yeah.
Illegal man downfield.
Chop blocks. Everything.
Everything.
And back in the day, chop blocks were done every play.
Yes, right, all the time. Plus, he was consistent and he was durable. He played 16 games, 18 times in his 19-year career. So
no, that's a great pick for them.
Bruce Matthews. All right, how about your current Tennessee Titan? Who do you got?
The game changer last year, Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. Yep, that's who I have too. If you look at
He's
his last 2 years, Derrick Henry, he's had 31 touchdowns in the last 2 years and over 2,600 rushing yards.
No, he's a beast. No matter what people see, this man is a beast. And just note, he's not a typical running back. He's what, 6'2"?
Yeah.
He's big.
Yeah, he is. He's big, and it's hard to stop him. And, once he gets a full load of speed.
Shifty. That's what I like about him. Very shifty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree with that. If only he could catch the ball more.
Oh, he'll be a dual threat right there.
Oh, forget about it. Forget about it. Give me a forget about it.
Forget about it.
All right. Who else do we got? Yeah, AFC South.
We're going West. Oh, yeah, we have Houston. Oh, yeah,
Houston.
keep forgetting about Houston Texans.
Who's your guy? Who's your favorite former guy?
I'm going to go J.J. Watts. Since
Well,
he got
J.J.
in the
Watt's
league.
still on the team.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with him still.
Okay.
Because I got a different one for the game changer for present. J.J. Watt, since he came into the league, was instant starter, instant sack machine. He's still a threat. They still double him now. Even with all the injuries he had, they still double him. They know what kind of ability this guy could have. Even on his worst days, he could still have at least a good 2-3 sacks per game.
Okay. I mean, I totally agree with you. We kind of mentioned a little bit about J.J. Watt earlier, how he had, such a strong first 4 or 5 years, and then he got hurt. Came back, he got hurt again. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with Watt there. In fact, he's the guy who I chose for my present player. And just looking at his stats, remember how I looked at Myles Garrett and he had 30 and a half sacks in 35 games? J.J. Watt has 96 sacks in 112 games.
That's amazing.
158 tackles for a loss. He's a 3-time leader in the NFL in tackles for loss for the season. I mean, he's just
wow.
Yes. He is also 3-time Defensive Player of the Year winner and a Walter Payton Man of the Year winner. So
no, the man has talent.
It's huge. That's a great pick there. My pick for the Texans in the past,
Andre Johnson.
Well, it was either Andre Johnson or Arian Foster. And
Foster.
I mean, Arian Foster, I mean, how can you he only had a little bit of an impact, maybe 3 years or so. Or
Andre had more though.
4 years. He had actually looking at Foster, he had 4,000-yard seasons in 7 years, which is great. But then he, kind of fell off the earth. He got hurt. Remember, he got hurt. He went to Miami. Not much. Andre Johnson had 7,000-yard seasons in 12 years with the Texans. I mean, if you think back to the Texans and the amount of time that they've been around, it's not been that long. Andre Johnson, in my opinion, is the guy that you think about. So I went with Andre Johnson for that reason.
Good choice. Guy.
There you go. You can't.
My present. So you already said your present for J.J. Watts for the Texans. Mine is he's coming into his own right now, and this year he'll be tested to see what abilities he has now. It's all on him. Deshaun Watson.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with Deshaun Watson.
He had good seasons when Hopkins was in there. Now it's time to put out or show up or put out,
Yep.
It's something. You got to do something now. You don't have, and with the trade of Brandon Cook, I don't agree with that trade. I don't know what Houston front office is doing, but he's going to have to prove himself more than ever right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. You said Brandon Cook. You mean Hopkins?
No, Brandon Cook got traded to the Texans.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't even hear that. Shoot, when
Remember,
that
right now, you want a good player? Go to the Rams. They're doing a fire sale right now.
How about that? I didn't even know that.
They're broke.
Yeah, you're right. They're paying Jared Goff. And they're probably still paying Gurley.
Yeah, you didn't see the latest tweets between Gurley and Clay Matthews?
No, I see. I haven't. What did they say? They're teammates.
No, yeah, former teammates.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
Rams still owe back pay to them.
Really?
They haven't gotten the checks out. 2 checks have bounced, they said.
Oh God.
So they're in dire. I don't know what's going on with Rams front office. I don't know what's going on with their financial stuff. But
Wow.
right now, I think they're having a fire sale right now. Aaron Donald might be the next one in line. Goff might be released. There's a lot of things here. I think they overpaid for that stadium. They overpaid for their new uniforms. I think they're just completely have not football
Well,
minded front
remember all the
offices.
people that they've purchased, right? Who they had Ndamukong Suh, they had Brandon Cooks, they had Aqib Talib, they had
Yeah.
who else? I'm missing someone.
Hey, you
Defensive
forgot one.
player. Huh?
Talib.
Yeah.
Who else?
Uh,
Cooks.
Cooks.
You have Clay Matthews also. They paid.
Oh, Watkins.
hefty.
They had Watkins for a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Clay Matthews. That's right. So I mean, they're just. They tried. They tried to buy a championship, and it didn't work. They made it to the Super Bowl, lost to the Patriots, and that was it.
And McVay, the following year, had nothing.
Right. Oh,
his
and
offense
Gurley.
was already
You mentioned Gurley. They
scouted.
picked for Gurley. Yeah.
So yeah, if scouts in GMs, if you guys are looking for good players, just check out the Rams. They're practically giving it away.
I didn't even know that Houston got Brandon Cooks. What was the trade? Who'd they trade?
They traded a 2nd-round pick for Brandon Cooks and a 4th-round pick. Houston is getting fleeced left and right too.
Yes, they are. They are. All right, so we got the AFC West to go.
Cool. So let's go Denver.
All right, you start me off. Who's your
John Elway?
John.
It was a toss-up between Elway and Atwaters.
Okay. I mean, we like Steve Atwater. How do you not like him?
I love Steve Atwaters. He's the man. He's the hardest hitting safety I ever seen in my life. Calm, collective, but a beast, and plays with a chip on his shoulder all the time. But I had to give it to Elway because Elway is Denver's not Denver without Elway.
So here's the thing with John Elway. I respect the guy. I understand that he's Mr. Comeback, whatever.
He's a horrible GM, by the way.
Yeah, but Elway was 0-3 in Super Bowls until Terrell Davis came on, right?
Oh, that's a good pick too.
Well, Terrell Davis isn't my pick, but I do like him. But also looking further at Elway, he only had 1 year where he led the league in any passing category. 1 year. And it was in 1993 when he had 4,000-yard season. He never had anything over 4,000 after that. He's never led the league in anything other than that. Not in completions, not in touchdown passes, not in anything.
You're an Elway hater.
I'm not an Elway hater. I just don't think that he's as good as people say.
Let me ask you something and give your honest opinion. When people spoke about Denver, what was the first player that came to mind for those people?
What do you mean? Say again.
So when people talked about, we're playing Denver.
They would talk about Elway.
So then that's who you have to give it to. That's the man that actually changed the game for that team. If you think about it, this whole thing is about who's the iconic player that changed, not a Hall of Famer. Who changed the game? Who made the team? Who put the team on the map? And I think Elway, like I said, you can't say Denver without thinking of Elway.
I know, and it's blasphemy to think of anyone else.
Denver fans, if you're out there,
I know.
Now.
I'm sure I'll have some Denver people go, "What the hell, Jeff?" No, my pick. You want to hear my pick? My pick is Rod Smith.
Okay.
I went with Rod Smith. 12 years he played in Denver. All 12 years in Denver. He had 8,000-yard seasons, made the Pro Bowl 3 times. He was just very consistent. He always had like 60-something, 70-something, 80-something catches, 90, even 100. Rod Smith was just Mr. Consistency. So I went with him. He was my guy.
Not a bad pick. But, you definitely upset a couple of Denver fans here.
I think so. All right.
That's
Who's your current guy? Who's your current Bronco?
Let's move away from the Elway bashing, please.
Okay.
My current guy is Von Miller.
Okay.
Even though he's lost a step a little bit, I think he hasn't lost a step. I think he's just, he hasn't found the right defensive coordinator to actually give him the right plays.
Mm.
I think the system that he's in is making him, become that man, the missing link, or the missing man in action. So he's MIA because of that. But the man, when he played with DeMarcus Ware, when he played, the Wade Phillips defense.
Yeah, the Wade Phillips defense. I totally agree with you. And Von Miller's my pick too. I'm looking. Remember, I mentioned J.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, how many sacks and how many games they played. Von Miller, 106 sacks in 135 games.
That's what I'm saying. This year he lost himself because that defensive coordinator or the playbook that they're running or any schemes that they're running, I think, are not fit to him, and he's a little lost at times. And I've seen games in Denver. I watched some Denver games, and the man is just playing cover. He's not a cover guy. He's out there to hit that quarterback, and that's his job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you putting him on a zone? Don't put him on a zone. Blitz the man. Do a stunt. Do something.
I totally agree. All right, so what are we at? We did Denver.
Let's go San Diego for nostalgic Charger fans.
The Chargers. Oh, okay. Who's your pick?
So I went with Stan Humphries. No, I'm playing. I went with LT. The man was a beast in San Diego. He's there was no way you could stop this man. He broke Emmitt Smith's records. He tied it, and he just obliterated that record no matter what. So LT hands down my all-time player.
That's an excellent pick. That's exactly who I went with as well. I mean, we're talking someone who's won the MVP award before, Walter Payton Man of the Year. I mean, how do you go against a guy like him? I mean, what did he have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons to begin his career. 145 career rushing touchdowns. That's just rushing touchdowns.
Exactly.
Make
a catch.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, you could say Phillip Rivers, right? But no. I mean, when you think of the Chargers, you think of LT, you think of LaDainian Tomlinson. So yeah, he's my pick as well. All right. How about present Chargers?
I'm gonna have to give it to my Joey man, Joey Bosa.
Now, let me ask you this before you get into Bosa here. Which Bosa do you like better, Nick or Joey?
I like Nick. Hands down. Nick is just like if you tell me which Watt I like, TJ Watt is one of the ones I like the most.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I didn't choose Joey Bosa. I went with
Derwin James.
Derwin James, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I like Derwin James. I like the fact that they signed Chris Harris. I think they had an awesome offseason. But no, my pick. Any ideas?
Ooh. Don't tell me. Eckler?
No. I went with Keenan Allen.
Okay. Not a bad pick.
Not a bad pick, right? I mean, sure, what has he had? 4 seasons with 1,000 yards. He's had 100 catches or more in 2 of the last 3 years. He's always getting at least 6, 7, 8 touchdowns each year. Keenan Allen's my pick. But I do like those defensive picks too. I like Derwin James. I like Chris Harris a lot. The fact that they signed him. And you already mentioned Joey Bosa. So yeah, that would be
he's a plus. Anybody named Joey is a plus.
All right, fair enough. That's the Chargers. Who's next?
Let's go with the Chiefs. I already told you mine. Derek Thomas. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you on Derek Thomas. I went with him as well.
I mean, you look at all of the players, though. You look at Len Dawson, and you see what he's done.
Dawson's a good player.
Hey,
Marcus Allen, even
Len Dawson. You've got Derek Thomas, as you mentioned. You got Tony Gonzalez in there. You've got Will Shields, one of the best tackles ever. Priest Holmes, even for a couple cup of coffee seasons there with the Chiefs, was on fire. You know what? Maybe I want to change my opinion here instead of Derek Thomas and go with Lenny Dawson.
You love those offensive line, don't you?
Well, no, the quarterback, Len Dawson.
Oh! Thought you were talking about Dawson, the guard.
Dermontti Dawson?
Yeah.
No.
It was Glenn.
Will Shields is another one who's really good, but no. Len Dawson actually led the league in passer rating 6 times.
Damn.
8 times he led the league in completion percentage. That's more than Drew Brees. I did some homework on Len Dawson. I've never seen Len Dawson play football. I'm old.
So you're going way, way back, caveman style.
Yes. Len Dawson was one hell of a quarterback, and I'm just kind of now realizing this. I don't know what Chiefs fans would say, but you know what? I'm going to go with Len Dawson as my
blasphemy again, going against Derek Thomas, but okay.
Fair enough. Derek Thomas. I mean, how do you disagree with him as well? Defensive Player of the Year, or Defensive Rookie of the Year, excuse me. The Walter Payton winner as well. I mean, shoot, the one game I told you before, he had 7 sacks in one game and lost the game. You remember that? 9-time Pro Bowler.
That man was a beast.
Leads the team in sacks, 126.5 sacks, and his life was cut short. So,
and just imagine if he played, he would have had all those records.
Yeah, it's very possible. He would have had I don't want to say a Lawrence Taylor type of career, but pretty similar.
No, I think he was surpassing Lawrence Taylor. Because Lawrence Taylor he's an amazing player. I love Lawrence Taylor, but this man had a little bit more had more speed than Lawrence Taylor.
Wow.
And I think in an era that Derek Thomas dominated, no matter what, every year he dominated for the Chiefs.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm again, nothing's wrong here. That's a lot. That's high praise for Derek Thomas. Now, and I like Derek Thomas. I do. I already mentioned that, but I mean, to put him ahead of Lawrence Taylor, if he would have played more years, I don't know about that. But again, you're entitled to your opinion. We'll see. Current Chief, who do you got?
Come on, really? Is there any doubt? Mr. Mahomes.
Mr. Mahomes, Pat Mahomes, 76 touchdown passes in 2 years. In 2 years that he's been in the league, 76 touchdown passes. He's got.
Let me ask you something. Who got drafted before Mahomes? Which quarterback got drafted before him?
Trubisky.
Oh God, yes. So aren't the Bears kicking themselves in the ass?
Oh man, yes, they are.
And wait, did the Bears trade up for Trubisky?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they traded one spot ahead to get Trubisky.
And what pick did Mahomes come in? I think 10, right?
10th.
Yeah. So great job, front office.
The guy already has a Super Bowl MVP and a league MVP.
And Trubisky leads in being more times on the floor than standing up. Again, kudos to the front office for Chicago. You did an amazing and scouts. You guys were amazing. You know, you found dare I say it? You found a Ronnie Pete instead of a Donovan McNabb kind of player.
Yeah. All right, one more team here in the AFC West, and that'll tie a ribbon on our AFC.
So who's that? The Las Vegas, the Oakland, or the Los Angeles Raiders? Which one should we go?
Either one. Who's your player?
Mr. Icon himself, dude. Games are being made out of him. You know, I'm not going for a player. I'm going for a coach this time. Madden.
Okay.
The man was a genius. Even though how many years did he play? How many years did he coach for the Raiders? I think 3 to 4.
Years that he coached?
Yeah. How many years did he coach, Mr. Stat Guy?
I mean, I can look it up. John Madden. I don't know how many years he coached. Let's see. 1969 to 1978. So what's that?
9 years?
9 years. 9 years he coached. He had 103 and 32 record. Oh, wait. He had 7 ties? Is that possible? 103, 32, and 7? Did they have a lot of ties back in the 70s and 60s?
Yeah, it looked like that.
Goodness.
But look at his record alone.
Yeah, 103 wins, 32 losses.
Do I need to say more about what the Raiders had?
No, I did not know that.
With the coaching carousel that this team has, this is like the Cleveland Browns. Every year they switch coaches. They're like, they're like switching socks every day. So
yeah,
I had to give it. I was going to give it to Bo Jackson because Bo Jackson introduced the dual sport that Deion Sanders then continued.
yeah.
But, and Bo knows football. That was iconic no matter what. And where was he? He was a Raiders. But, I could have gave it to Art Shell. But Madden is the one that changed the game. Madden is still changing the game with their iconic video games. The man is football.
I wonder what his net worth is.
I don't know. Oh, we got 2 chats in there.
Yes, we do. How about that? So you went with.
So yeah, you're right, Michael. 10 years, huh? 9 years. Good job.
You went with John Madden. Guess I'm going to go with Tim Brown.
I had Tim Brown. I had Charles Woodson also, but
yeah, you had Woodson for Pittsburgh, or Charles Woodson.
Charles Woodson. Yeah.
Pardon me. Sorry. I'm going with Tim Brown. Looking at Tim Brown's career, 15 years with the Raiders. He had 9,000-yard seasons, 9 Pro Bowls. He was one of 6 players with 100 touchdowns, 1,000 receptions, and 10,000 receiving yards. And here's the thing about Tim Brown. He didn't get his first 1,000-yard year until his 6th year in the league. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's crazy. Tim Brown. Tim Brown was my pick.
It's a nice pick. I like Tim Brown.
All right. How about your current guy? Current Raider?
Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs. Okay.
I think he's going to be an amazing running back for Las Vegas. Sorry.
I know.
But
I want to catch my breath.
He showed me a lot last year, and I think this year is a breakout year for him. He's going to, and mark my word, fandom, he's going to be top 10 this year in rushing.
Yeah, a lot of people are high on Josh Jacobs, and he's my pick as well. If you think about the Raiders, they have a lot of young talent, right? They've got Jacobs, they've got Corey Littleton that they just got on free agency. Oh, yes. The rookie Max Crosby, their defensive end from last year, a 4th-round pick who's really had a really strong year. Darren Waller, of course, Cleveland Farrell too from Clemson. A lot of young talent there, and they've got a lot of draft picks this coming season. Especially in the first, they have 2 picks in the first round. I think they've got 5 picks in the first 100 and something. Anyway, the Raiders are they're one of the up and coming teams, I think. And Josh Jacobs is the reason why. He's a strong running back. I agree with everything that you said. I think we're going to see him involved a little bit more if that's even possible this year, especially as a receiver. I think that's going to happen. So yeah. Jacobs is my pick as well, but there's a lot of opportunity there for some players to step it up. That Khalil Mack trade is finally coming to fruition, and they're really trying to build their team off of that.
Exactly, and I think Jacobs is the key. He's the cornerstone for that offense. So,
all right, well that's it. That's our AFC lineup there, and now we got to jump into the NFC, but that'll be a separate show. So. Let's tie a ribbon on this, and we'll come back in just a bit for the NFC.
Nice. Fandom, thank you for joining us here. Stay tuned. We'll come right back.